Hey, good evening, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this new midweek series we're doing called God at Work. We've been having lots of different options during the week for people to tune in and watch some devotionals and classes. And we thought for the next several weeks, it might be great to hear from some of our church members, maybe some you haven't seen in a while. We know that many of our people are continuing to worship with us online and to stay safe at home as much as they can. But boy, it's important to hear from people we know and love in our church family. So what we're going to do these next several weeks is invite different Memorial Road members on, some by themselves, some families and couples, and just see how they're doing and see how their 2020 has been, see what they're looking forward to in 2021, and most of all, see how they've seen God at work and how they hope God will be at work in the days, months, and years to come. So I want to welcome our guests tonight. This is Frank and Gladys Chatmon. Frank and Gladys, welcome to our midweek series. Some people are going to be watching this as it airs Wednesday at 7. Some will be watching it other times. We're really glad you're here. Thanks for joining. For people who don't know you very well, could you take just a minute and introduce yourselves to our viewers?
I'm Frank,
And I'm Gladys.
and we've been members of Memorial Road since the 2000s, and we're in the Forever 50-something class. And I will even start off with just by saying we have been attending every Sunday online because we're in the higher risk group, and so we're worshiping online, and we sure do appreciate that being available for us.
Okay, well, we're glad to have you, Frank and Gladys, and thanks for continuing to worship with us online. So many, in fact, I think probably the majority of our church members are worshiping alongside everyone else online. And so we're grateful that opportunity is available and grateful that you have been able to take advantage of that. So, how you doing? How have you been since, March, April, whenever we may have last seen everyone? Tell us what life has been like in the spring, summer, fall of 2020 for you.
So I will start. Life has been so full of change and stress, actually. And I know that we are not unlike the rest of the world, but it seems very isolating. A lot of changes as far as really giving thought to how we live. The impact of living has really caught our eyes. Um, we have had an opportunity to provide care to my father since 2018, and that was a change. We also have had both of us medical events since March, and I'm currently working from home. So, needless to say, with the pandemic, there was a change in work, furloughs, unemployment, and with the world events of relationships, the George Floyd, and really evaluating your relationships. And of course, the election. So for me, it's been change, stress, and just overwhelming activities.
Yeah. Wow.
And
Frank,
I've
anything to add?
Sorry.
No, I didn't mean
no,
it like
I
that.
mean,
No, I just wanted to give Frank a chance to weigh in as well.
well, we have shared in all of that for sure, and I was thinking of just the fact that I have been used to being out and about and being in more social situations and contact situations. So the being isolated or quarantined or our choice to be where we are has really been interesting and affected us. I will say that we have been blessed with the fact that when this isolation started, our son was probably more on top of what was going on than we were. And he said, I think I'll come and stay with you guys for a couple of weeks. And almost a whole year later, he is still here, and he's still being a guardian and caregiver for us to make sure we do what we need to do to keep ourselves, all of us, safe.
And
Yeah,
Josh,
he's making sure you follow the rules, right?
Exactly.
I think it's interesting that both of our children were aware of the COVID crisis before we were. We were too busy living and doing. And so they brought it to our attention. Hey, there's something coming that you guys need to stop and pay attention to. So not only did Brandon, but Tamika, they kind of put their heads together and made sure their parents were safe.
Well, good for them. Good for them. So, talking about COVID-19, have either of you or people close to you had COVID-19? Others you know who have had complications from it? Tell us about that particular virus and how it's affected you.
So it has definitely affected our family. I lost my aunt in Houston to COVID, and I believe it was the July timeframe. And October 29th, my precious father, who moved to Oklahoma for our caregiving of him at the Norman Veterans Center, passed from COVID. So that experience was very enlightening and touching. He was 94, sound mind, able to walk unaided, very healthy. And from March 11th was the last time I saw him. Till that time, I had been praying to have the opportunity to be with him again. But the one thing that he did for me when we moved in here, he said, I am ready to die. And that gave me peace in his passing. And so with COVID, it was very short-lived. He had a week after diagnosis that he had it. And on the 8th day, he passed as soon as we agreed to comfort care. And so for me, that was a blessing of care from God to this family.
Wow. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you for telling us about that. What other, you've lost loved ones. You mentioned some job loss, some own health issues that each of you have struggled with. Are there other losses? Maybe they're not health, maybe they're not job, but just, loss of things you liked to do or routines. What other losses did you experience in 2020?
I think it's very interesting because both Frank and I are very relation-oriented people. And so I feel also a loss of, work relationships. I wouldn't say so much family or friends as much, but even though they're not close relationships, they're also a loss. I also feel a sense of loss in really getting to know each other and understanding each other better since March, because I think being isolated, you're really not able to touch and feel and straighten things out. And there's been so many conversations that have impacted those relationships that they become a loss.
I think that's very right. Yes, it's been tough to process a hard year because we haven't been able to get together in the ways we're used to process, and that and important events in our country's life. It's been hard to have the face-to-face conversations that we need to have in order to work these kinds of things out. So I sure resonate with that, and I'm glad you said that. Frank, you were going to say something. Go ahead, please.
And I think we have more of a, well, not more of, we have in the last 13 plus years have had a more world focus in our lives because of our daughter and our grandkids and her husband being out of the country in Vienna, Austria. And that's one of the things we've missed. We have not had the opportunity to hug on and play with. We're blessed. One of the blessings that we have is what we're doing now. Even with you, is we've been able to at least be able to do shared time electronically with our kids and grandkids, and that's been quite a blessing. I've often told some people I don't know. It's hard to imagine how people like the Bertrams were able to work in Vietnam and away from their family, and where communications by letter took months. So that's one of the blessings I think we can be happy for, is the technology that's allowed us to be able to see and talk to. But that touch is the thing that has also been affected by COVID.
Yeah, so talk to me about the technology in church. You mentioned at the beginning of our conversation that you've been worshiping online. So what has that transition been like? What have you enjoyed about it, and what have you not enjoyed about worshiping online?
I've actually enjoyed it being available and the flexibility of it, because sometimes it's not as convenient, and particularly with being quarantined and all the other life events that affect us, until that part is good. What is not good is actually seeing your brothers and sisters in Christ. I've missed that part of it.
No, I agree. That's I had mentioned touch, but that's not necessarily when you say touch is it the total aspect of physical touch, but the aspect of being in the presence of others, like other brothers and sisters, and obviously there is the touching aspects of that too, hugging and shaking hands and different things like that. So it's that's the one thing that you just can't get, obviously can't get electronic.
Nope, you sure can't. Well, let's talk about the title of our series of conversations, which is God at Work. So we have acknowledged that it's been a difficult year. It's going to continue to be a difficult few months as we get out of this. So we're not out of the woods yet, but we are hopeful. So talk to me about some ways, though, even in spite of a difficult year, and we can be honest that it has been a difficult year. Even in a difficult year, what are some ways you have seen God at work?
I would love to share this part, because God has been present in this family from the very beginning, no matter how difficult it was. Even in my furlough from work, I am still employed and I'm able to work from home. And I count that a blessing, because many do not have that opportunity that's been given me. And in the passing of my dad, what I saw was a strong believer in God, who believed his word and stood in his word, even in his death. And so I found a great example of what it looks like to not only be a Christian, but to believe what you've been taught by the word. And so that example of him has given me strength and focus. And so I have seen God provide for this family. I've seen him answer our prayers. I've seen him protect us. And I've seen great family teamwork from Austria, California, New Hampshire, Missouri, Texas. We all worked together to do a life celebration for my dad, which I was not able to go to because of some medical conditions. So when you talk about what is meant to me, is his presence, God's presence. No matter how bad we think it is, if we just look and see the good that has also been in this year.
Okay. Well, Josh, I would agree fully with what Gladys said, and this is kind of an obvious thing, but just the fact that we are both here to be able to do this interview with you because of our son and daughters being mindful of what was happening and trying to make sure we were taken care of, and the fact that we have survived without having COVID. We've had a couple of medical experiences that have caused us to have to leave the house, but yet we've come through those. And when we reflect on the little end of the year video that was so nicely done to show those of our members who've gone on, all of that is a reason that we can feel blessed to have gone these number of months with what is happening in and around us, and still being well and healthy, and that's God's blessing to us for sure.
Thank you both for sharing that. I sure appreciate it. I think I had accidentally had my mic muted between you talking, so thanks for just picking up and going, Frank. I appreciate that. I was talking and on mute. How many of us have had that experience and continue to have that experience when we're in a meeting and we start talking and our mic is muted? You would think by 2021 we'd have that down, but we don't.
Yeah, well, by the time this is over with, I think we will.
Maybe so. Well, let me, but by the way, for those of you who are watching this, you are welcome to leave a greeting comment whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. You can just leave a greeting comment for the Chatmons and they can review that themselves. We'll make sure that they get any hellos or shout outs you want to put in the comments. We'll make sure that they can see those later. So thanks again for watching. I want to close with this question for you, Frank and Gladys. What are you most hopeful about in 2021?
Well, that's a really easy one for me. I am hopeful that I will actually see my daughter and her family in 2021, and I rest comfortably in God's care of our family. You know, whatever that is, I feel I rest in Him.
Thank you.
And I am hopeful that in 2021 that we can see a strengthening of God's body and God's church in its mission to reach out and bring in and love those people who have been quote unquote isolated, not only by COVID, but isolated by their not being in the body. And so therefore, look at 2021 as a great opportunity for us as a body to really renew and invigorate our commission to go into all the nation and reach out and bring those who are lost into God's fold.
Thank you for that. Yes. So many opportunities are presented to us, even in the midst of hardships. So I'm grateful for those hopeful, encouraging words that you both have shared. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being open about what your year has been like. I know it is an encouragement for many who are watching just to see you, because they may not have seen you in several months, and especially then to hear your words. So Frank and Gladys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, everyone, feel free to leave them a greeting in the comments. We'll make sure that they see those. So thanks both of you for joining. To everyone who's watching, thank you for tuning in. We're glad that you were here to receive a word of encouragement from other Memorial Road members. We're going to do this in January and February, each Wednesday night. These interviews will premiere at 7 p.m. Central on our church's Facebook and YouTube channels. And you can watch them live when they premiere. You can watch them later at your convenience, and make sure and leave greetings and comments so people can know that you were here. We're glad you were here. May God's peace be upon you, and we will see you next week.